Welcome to Coffee and Conversations for Men, a podcast where two men, Jay Guy,
Brian Jones,
sit down to share their stories of struggles, successes, and everything in between as they navigate the ups and downs of life.
Each episode will dive into topics men are curious about as it relates to their fitness, nutrition, relationships, mental health, and lifelong learning. If you're looking for real talk, honest discussions, and practical advice, you're in the right place.
So grab your coffee, sit back, and join us for some candid conversations that will inspire, motivate, and remind you that you are not alone on this journey. So let's get started.
Every guy wants to be strong, physically strong, mentally strong, strong in his relationships, his career, his legacy.
But there's one area that too much of us are staying silent. And that silence, well, that's costing us everything.
Financial stress is the silent killer of physical health.
You either pay the farmer or the pharmacist.
And retail therapy only delays the pain.
And more marriages end over money than infidelity. And we've been taught to measure our worth, not by what we earn, but by how we manage it.
And when was the last time you really looked at your money? Not just your paycheck.
Or asked yourself, how are my finances affecting my health, my mental state, or even my relationship? In this episode of Coffee and Conversations for Men, we're tackling the money talk that most of us avoid.
We're breaking it down through the 5 pillars: fitness, nutrition, mental health, relationships, and lifelong learning.
Because financial stress isn't just about numbers. It shows up in your body, in your mood, in your relationships as well.
No shame, no fluff, just real talk about how to take control and stop letting money control you.
We're going to be talking discipline, dollars, and eventually doing better. Brian, in this What's in Your Cup segment this morning, we got something a little different this morning.
Absolutely, Jay. I was at a market in Kitchener, and there was this vendor selling their coffee. And the company is Streets Ahead Coffee Roasters.
Right.
And they're out of Woodstock. I started talking to the owner. Neat guy. So I bought some of his coffee. This one's called Danger Wolf.
Oh, man. It smells fantastic.
It is.
It
Yeah,
really does.
Absolutely. And let me read the tasting notes. First of all, the beans are from Brazil. And the tasting notes say sweet, caramel, molasses, yellow fruit, and citrus acidity. So I was talking with the owner, Chris, and he and his wife have this company. And it's small. However, what they believe in is to bring fun into coffee. And their website, it says here, they believe coffee should spark joy, bring back the fun, and make you excited to start your day.
I love this where it says, like racing down the stairs on a Saturday morning with your blanket cape flying behind you, ready for your Saturday morning cartoons and cereal. I love that.
And they're about fun. And what I was really impressed with is they do small batch roasting. Every bag of coffee is roasted in small batches, and it just brings out that freshness and that flavor.
And also, obviously, they're in Kitchener, so they're Canadian proud as well.
And we want to support Canada Roasters. So thanks, Chris. Thanks, Tiffany. We're delighted to have your coffee here for this episode of Coffee and Conversations for Men.
Absolutely. Truly delicious. Thank you again. Welcome back, guys, to another edition. This episode is going to be on finances. And I got to say, Brian, just right off the top, while we open, I was really, really reluctant to dive into this one. I know this has been a topic that's come up many times as we talk about topics for our episodes. This was not one that I wanted to touch. I got to be honest. I really got to be honest.
Then it needs to be talked about because guys aren't talking about it.
I know. And I really didn't want to talk about it.
We're not financial planners.
Nope.
I mean, we're not investors we're not giving advice. No. Please, anybody listening, do not think we have expertise in this area. We researched and we're sharing stories about our own personal lives and
Correct.
Our struggles and our successes when it comes to finance. But it's a topic that guys do not talk about.
And honestly, I, as reluctant as I was, as hesitant as I was to dive into this, I'm so glad I did because I learned a ton. I really did. I learned a ton. And I learned I learned the art of discovery through finances, which I never, ever, ever
Right.
thought I would have done.
Yeah.
You know, sure, through bonsai, through samurai stuff. Like I'm into that stuff, but not finances.
Yeah.
It was really wild.
Well, we need to talk about this.
Yeah.
So let's dive in.
All right.
Okay. Well, do you want to start with fitness?
Yes.
Let's align. We're going to go through our pillars.
Yeah.
And let's align our first pillar, fitness, with finance.
Mm-hmm.
So what do you got? What do you got?
Well, for fitness, for me, I'm constantly purchasing new equipment for the gym.
Right.
I'm constantly, quote unquote, upgrading my gym, and
that does not surprise me.
Right, or modifying the equipment that I currently have.
Yes.
You know,
Yeah.
I have these what do you call apparatuses, I guess.
Yeah.
I have my platform that I've made, and I'm constantly modifying that, and I have all these other landmine things that I'm
Right. Yeah.
like things I've made, and you know, that I've created that work for me in the gym, and I'm constantly modifying those things. So I'm constantly changing things up, and I'm adding new pieces of equipment all the time, or I'm learning how to use different pieces of equipment. You know, whether it be bells, whether it be maces or clubs or any. I'm constantly experimenting with new things.
Right.
That bring a new light or new fun to the gym. And for those of you that don't know, I have a very small home gym, and so I have to be very creative in order to, you know, get the best out of the bang. I guess the bang for my buck. I guess.
Yeah.
So
you use your space.
Oh my God! Do I ever? I use it well. Yes. And so investing in equipment for yourself or your home gym is one of the greatest investments you can ever make, because it never loses value.
Right.
You're always able to resell.
Mm-hmm.
You know, even the treadmill that's been sitting in your basement that now is, you know,
a laundry
laundry
rack.
Yeah,
a laundry rack.
Yeah. Or last year's snowsuits. That's where the winter storage gets hung. But they never lose their value. You can always resell those things online. So to buy a piece of equipment, use it or not, it will never devalue itself.
Right.
It will.
Right.
You can always resell it. So investing in gym equipment, investing in new equipment will never get old. You'll always benefit from that. And whether it's, you know, protein powders or supplements or equipment or gym memberships, even gym memberships, you know, those are, you know, there's always a monthly fee, but you're always on the back end, you're always paying for the year to get the monthly payment that they're advertising, right? So when they do that, they're hoping, when you pay for the year, they're hoping that, obviously they're going to benefit more than you do, but they're hoping that your monthly payment still continues. But they've got you for the year. If you stop going, they still have your payment for the year. You're locked in for that year. So you can cancel anytime. And they tell you that. You can cancel anytime, but you're not getting your year.
Yes.
You're not getting that back.
Right.
So if it's now March and you've paid for the year in January, you're paying for that.
Right.
Yeah.
And that's why all the deals are coming in on January 1st with New Year's resolutions.
Absolutely.
Right?
And that's where they get you, right? But at the same time, investing in yourself is never a bad thing.
No, not at all.
It's never a bad thing. So you can buy the equipment and not use it for years, and eventually sell it if you don't use it. That's never a bad thing. You can buy the gym membership and use it for a few months, and it's not your thing, and then you fall off, or life happens, or whatever.
Yeah.
And that's fine. That's fine too, because that happens. Life happens. But initially investing in yourself sends a very clear message that you matter.
That's right.
So just keep doing that. Just keep investing in yourself. It's going to click. I promise you, it's going to click. You just haven't found your thing yet. Whether it's the gym, whether it's rock climbing, swimming like yourself with the lanes, like it will click for somebody. It doesn't always click for everybody. Not everybody's a gym goer, but there's fitness things out there that will click for you. So continue to invest in yourself. I promise you, you'll find your own thing. I promise you, you'll find your own thing. And the greatest piece of advice that I found on the internet, according to what comes up for fitness, is investing in yourself is the very best investment that you will ever make in your life. So invest in yourself. Well, how about yourself, Brian? What do you have for fitness?
Well, mastering both my health and my wealth takes discipline, intentionality, and a long-term mindset. And unfortunately, if I had to learn the hard way, financial stress, it's a silent killer. And when money's tight, I don't know about you, but I feel it in my body. I sleep worse. I move less. I eat like crap. The stress doesn't just stay in my mind. It moves to my bones. On the flip side, I've seen how poor health drains wealth. I've got some friends who are buried in some medical bills.
Yeah.
They're missing work. They're losing out on opportunities, and some of them are younger than me. Although some of them look older than I do, and then that's just not an ego thing. I think that's because I put priority into fitness.
Right.
And yeah, I've spent money just like you, but I see it as an investment, not an expense. You know, I don't go to a gym per se. I've got the equipment in my basement, and I've got that from other people selling their stuff in garage sales or on Marketplace. The Bowflex, the resistant bands, the weights, the bench, the gymnastics rings, the stability ball, the step platform. Yeah, I've had a membership at F45. I've had membership at the Y. I've had a cycle studio membership. And now I have a membership at a yoga studio that I absolutely love. And the community pool. I pay.
So like I'm saying, you found your thing, right?
Absolutely.
Okay,
Absolutely. Now, even though the pool is not in my municipality, so I have to pay an out-of-resident fee for it, but it's so worth it.
Yeah.
And yeah, I've paid for registration for run races. And I've paid registration for endurance events and charity events. But all those events have pushed me.
Yeah.
And they've given me purpose. And they keep me sharp and in shape. But here's the key. I budget for it all.
Yeah.
And there's no guilt. Just like groceries or home maintenance, fitness is part of the plan. It's not extra. I think, just like you, that it's essential. Because if I ignore it, I'm going to have later some health costs, bills. I'm going to have lost time, regret. And unfortunately, regret is expensive.
Oh, yeah.
And here's something I've noticed, that discipline in the gym and discipline in money go hand in hand. And when I'm tracking workouts, we're usually tracking spending. And when we're meal prepping, we're budgeting better. And when I skip leg day, chances are we're skipping some wise financial decisions too. Then it's all connected. Now, I have to be honest, Jay, there's times I've overdone it. I've took on too much. I pushed too hard, and I found myself, budgeting for massage therapy and osteopath appointments. But recovery is just part of that plan.
Yeah, absolutely.
And I know there's some guys that are smart that will build in regular maintenance into their life, like chiropractor appointments or physio appointments or acupuncture, because they're not waiting for their body to break down.
Yeah, like your regular oil changes.
Yeah, exactly. Exactly. Now, it reminds me of Robert Kiyosaki's book when he says in Rich Dad, Poor Dad, build assets, not liabilities. And to me, fitness is an asset. It grows over time. It pays dividends in my energy, my focus, and my resistance. And sure, we've heard of guys who have dropped dead on a jog or at the hockey arena on the ice.
Yeah.
But you know what? We don't hear about the thousands of guys who are thriving in their 60s, in their 70s, in their 80s, and they're running, they're biking, they're curling, they're hiking, they're playing hockey. Because they prioritize wellness.
Yeah, absolutely. And I think that ties back into what I said last episode in our grieving episode. I think it was our grieving episode, which, remember I said, stay as young as you can for as long as you can. You know how many comments we've gotten over that one comment?
Yes.
Oh my God. And it just makes sense. Stay as young as you can. So stay as healthy as you can, stay active as you can, as long as you can.
Yep. And that ties to David Chilton's book, The Wealthy Barber. He says, start small, stay consistent, and think long-term. And that's what I'm after. I'm chasing consistency. I'm not perfection. Did I save 10% of my income? Did I walk 10 minutes a day? Those are little choices, and they compound.
Yeah.
And look, I know that tomorrow isn't guaranteed. And that's why I plan today. And that's why I track my workouts. That's why we track our spending. And that's why we prioritize our wellness. So we keep showing up. And I said it in an episode, I think it was episode 11, Finding Your Identity. I asked, are you living longer or are you dying longer? And that question still thrives with me. So here's the challenge for you and for me and for anyone who's listening. Stay strong. Don't skip leg day and don't skip financial planning because muscles and money don't grow without effort. Train your body, train your budget, and show up for your future self and for the people counting on you.
Oh, I love it. I love that. Great message. Okay, Brian, moving on to nutrition. What do you got for nutrition?
Jay, it's interesting. In the opening trailer, you said you either pay the farmer or you pay the pharmacist. That hit me. What we put in our bodies now show up later and in our health and in our bank accounts. You know, my wife and I joined a local CSA, which is the Community Shared Agriculture Program. And we pay upfront money in the spring to get fresh local produce every other week. And we've been doing this since, I think since Easter now up until Thanksgiving.
Oh, wow. Yeah.
And it works out to be about $36 a share over 15 pickups. And I'll give you an example. Last week, the share included tomatoes, carrots, squash, potatoes, peppers, kale, and corn, along with apples and pears.
Okay.
And we received the list on Monday, and we can swap out any item we want. Our pickup day is on Thursday. And kale's not our favorite thing. So we exchanged the kale out for more apples.
Okay.
No regret. And why we love this? Because it's paid for in advance. No surprise produce grocery bills. And we know where the food comes from. We know how it's growing. We know how fresh it is. Upfront cost helps the farmers. And for us, it means clean, local food without the weekly produce pinch.
Can you just say what it is again? I'm curious now.
The CSA, which is the Community Shared Agriculture, and there are several networks set up throughout the province. Local, it's a local farmer just up the road from us.
Okay.
And so we've given upfront money in the spring, and they buy the seeds and they look after all the growing of the vegetables and the fruit throughout the entire season. And every other week we get this package from them.
So you already know.
We know exactly.
Okay. Wow, that's fast. Okay.
And then what happens is, because we do it, I mean, if we go to the grocery store and get produce, there's times where we end up getting too much and we end up throwing half of it out.
I know that.
So but this is just enough for us for the 2 weeks, and it's fresh and we know where it's growing.
Yeah.
And here's what I've learned. Healthy eating isn't expensive, but it is intentional. Planning is a game changer. Meal planning, bulk buying, and cutting out takeouts, those are all money moves. And we covered it back in bonus episode 7 when we interviewed Justin Brothers on the Healthy at Home to Your Home 905. There's power in the prepping. And we've also learned the hard way that fast food equals fast debt. I don't know about your family, but we've discovered it in ours. And when we're tired, when I'm stressed, when I'm in a rush, it's easy to spend emotionally. And that's where little purchases snowball into bigger to bigger purpose. And then what happens is we try not to go shopping when we're hungry, grocery shopping.
Yeah, that'll get you.
We make a grocery list in advance and it sits on our fridge. And then we do grocery shopping. My wife and I we take the list, we divide it in half, and we divide and conquer. We stick to the list, and then we meet up at the checkout counter when we've got everything on our list. And we only try to shop on the outside aisles of the store. So that's produce, that's dairy, and that's meat. And we skip the processed aisles that are in the middle.
Yeah.
And investing in healthy food is like contributing to your RRSP. Those small contributions now equal fewer expenses later. And David Chilton, and in his book, The Wealthy Barber, he says, start small, stay consistent, and plan for the long term. And that applies to food as much as finance. And years ago, we would sit down Sunday night and plan for our meals for the week. Who's home? Who's working late? What nights are tight? Then plan around it. Monday's leftover potatoes became Wednesday's shepherd's pie. Tuesday's chicken became Thursday's soup. We saved time, money, and food. And in Eric Tyson's book, The Personal Finance for Dummies, talks about budget leaks like daily lunches out. He's right. Those quick meals add up. We still eat out, but with a purpose. It's budgeted and it's intentional. And Robert Kiyosaki's book, in Rich Dad, Poor Dad, invest in assets, avoid liabilities. Honestly, fast food is a liability. Tastes good in the moment, but costs more in the long run. And the mindset that builds wealth also builds wellness. And that's why in our home, financial planning includes meal planning.
Yeah. Okay. Yeah.
So long story short, you either pay the farmer or you pay the pharmacist. Invest in your health now to avoid medical bills later. Healthy eating isn't expensive, it's planned. And it's just like saving money. It's about consistent habits. And food and finance literacy go hand in hand. Meal prep is like automating your savings. It blocks impulse buys and saves money. So this is the challenge for you, Jay. Track your grocery spending like you track your bank account. Plan your meals like you plan your workout. And make your grocery list like a budget and stick to it. Train your wallet, train your body, and that's fuel to look after yourself.
Yeah. Challenge accepted.
Oh, go for it. So what about you, Jay?
I can relate to a lot of what you were just saying about going to the grocery store hungry, about not planning for your meal plans. A lot of that stuff resonated with me, and even the takeout stuff. Like, we're a busy family. We're always on the go. I mean, there's 4 adults in one household. Yeah, we're busy. So I can totally relate to the purchasing of the fast food stuff, because that happens. I mean, it's bound to happen. We're all busy. We're all coming and going at different times of the day too sometimes. So it happens. So I can relate in there. And when you hit the grocery store, quote unquote, you're buying with the best of intentions. But oftentimes you're buying stuff that you're throwing out a week later. And that happens in my household a lot. And this is how the grocery store is hit oftentimes, whether it's trying new recipes or trying to eat cleaner or changing your diet altogether. The groceries are bought with the best of intentions. And sometimes the food gets thrown away because it's rotten or it's expired, or the best of intentions to try that new recipe didn't actually get tried. It got overlooked in the fridge, and then you're just throwing it out anyway. So, and that's more common than you think. And yeah, it can be frustrating, and spending your hard-earned money on food that's no longer edible or expired is really frustrating. It really gets frustrating. My wife hates that. She really does. Throwing away food that's just sat in the fridge that got bought and never even got taken out of the wrapper. It's really frustrating. Ready to go meals are ideal for a busy family most of the time, because it comes prepackaged. It comes ready to go, like Justin's, or like HelloFresh, or like those food services. Those are offered, like the 905. Just, it's already ready to go. You pick
That's
your
right.
you pick
And
your
it's
meal plans,
healthy.
and it's healthy. Yeah, you pick your meal and it comes, you make it, and off you go, right? So those for a busy family are ideal. And I wouldn't suggest shying away from those.
No.
If you're a busy family. Not every family has all adults like my household, but if you have kids that are in sports or recreational stuff, and you're getting home from work, getting home from school, throwing something on the table, and you're running out the door to make practice, don't shy away from those ready-made meals and or pre-planned meals. HelloFresh can take a good amount of time in the kitchen to prepare. Sometimes there's a lot of dishes. You're using a lot of bowls and pots, and there's a lot of dishes at the end of it. But the meals themselves it's already planned. You pick it and you go. So I would say, if you're a busy family, don't shy away from those, because in the long run, all those meals that came in those bags and that came in that box, they got eaten that week. They didn't get thrown away. So majority of the times, those purchases don't get wasted. I eat pretty clean, and here at work at lunch, I eat really clean. And if you're the same way here at work, and you eat pretty clean, then it's kind of easy to transfer that into your family life. You know, you're doing all the right things at lunch on your own when you're at work. It's really easy to take that home with you. And oftentimes when you're eating clean at work, or rather than some guys don't have a choice.
Right.
Some guys they're taking the sandwiches and they're traveling because they own their own companies or whatever, and they're in between jobs. They're traveling and they're eating on the run, eating in the truck. So but there's always another option. There's always, you can get heated cooler bags where it doesn't have to be a sandwich. It doesn't have to be the same old boring stuff over and over and over again. Don't get me wrong, I eat the same stuff over and over again. That's not what I'm saying.
But it's good, healthy stuff.
Yes, yeah, absolutely. And I understand not everybody has the ability to cook like I do when I'm at work. But you can plan for it. You can change the way you do things. You can change the way you pack your lunch for work.
Sure.
Yeah, absolutely. So there's no reason why it can't be done.
But it just takes time.
It just takes the prep. Like you said in your segment, prepping is key.
Sure it is.
It just takes time, yeah. And I understand how fortunate I am. I really do. Don't get me wrong. But it's prep. If I came to work and I didn't prep, I wouldn't be able to do what I do, regardless of the equipment that I have at work that's ready for me, the hot plate, the toaster oven. That if I came unprepared, none of that is any good. Those are paperweights.
No.
They don't do any good. So I prep in order to do what I do.
So Jay, what do you got for mental health and finances?
Mental health and finances. Okay, so this was a hard one for me because I've never really viewed my it's not that I haven't viewed, but I've never really focused on where the finances affect different parts of my day to day.
Oh, okay.
So diving into this research and just taking a step back and really looking on and being aware of where everything is going and how finances and how I move and navigate through that realm, I was like, holy shit, it was eye-opening for me.
Right. But you took a step back, which is huge. A lot of guys don't do that.
Yeah, I had to, because I was like, well, I don't know anything about finances. I'm not a banker. I'm not a financial wizard. So I really had to take a step back. So like most people, I have, and occasionally do overspend. A lot of the research that everybody just, they live beyond their means kept coming up over and over as I would do my research. And I'm like, shit, yeah, there's a lot of times where you live beyond your means. I'm guilty of that too. And yeah, I never myself in my household, I never wanted to be house broke.
Right.
I just didn't. I don't need a lot of money, but I never wanted to be house broke. I didn't want to go to work just to pay my mortgage.
Right.
That did not sound like a good plan.
Right.
I didn't know a lot about finances, but I know that one didn't work for me. I didn't want to be house broke. And so doing this research for that, this term kept coming up, which I didn't know, or I didn't hear a lot before researching for this, is called financial insanity.
Oh, tell me more.
So it like, the definition of insanity is doing something over and over again and expecting a different outcome.
Right.
Same applies here. Financial insanity is a non-clinical term by repeating the same financial mistakes without expecting different results, and oftentimes leading to financial stress. And it can refer to behaviors like making the same investment mistakes, using debt unwisely, or avoiding financial planning and the outcomes of your negative planning at all costs. So, i.e., not opening collector bills, you're just avoiding those. You're putting those in the drawer and pretending like they're not.
Or opening your wallet and deciding, what credit card should I use for this?
What's this going on? Yeah. So I was like, oh, fuck. Pardon my F-bomb. I was like, this hits so close to home. It's like, yeah, it's wild. I was really blown away. Like I said, I had to take a step back. And so I'm not money savvy. I've already admitted that. And I'm not the financial wizard in my household. And I'm not embarrassed to admit it. I'm just really not. I struggle with numbers.
Right.
I really do. I struggle with the language that they use in the banks, right? And in your contracts and in your mortgage.
It's a whole new vocabulary.
Oh my God. Yeah. Right. I barely got English down. So, and all of these terms, the quote unquote legal language that they use in the contracts, it just absolutely makes no sense to me whatsoever. I just don't get it. I get lost in the terminology that they use, and I'm done for. I'm absolutely done for. I just don't understand it. And it would take me days to read through a contract in order for me to retain, in order for me to make sense out of all of it and understand what that all the contract means. And I'm very, very, very fortunate that my wife understands the legal language that they use, and she understands it well.
Wow.
And I trust and respect her judgment in those situations.
So the bank manager says, sign here, here, and here, and here. And you go, yes, I will.
No, I don't even say, yes, I will. I look at my wife and she's like, yeah. And I'm like, yeah, you got this. So, and not ignorantly either. I just, in the moment, I'll understand it if you can break it down to me, but don't talk your banker talk to me.
Yeah.
I'll understand it.
Right.
I just don't understand what you're saying.
Okay.
So my wife does, and I trust her in those moments. And she asks all of the right questions, and she understands what they're talking about. And so on the other hand of that coin, she also understands that I don't understand. And so it takes patience, and it takes time for her to explain those things to me in those situations. We're doing this because that, we're signing this because that. And she breaks it down on our own time in our own relationship. She breaks that down for me outside of the bank, and she says, this is why we're doing things, or before we even go into the bank, this is what they're offering, this is what we're doing. Yeah. And it makes sense. And she really does take the time. So if you're a person who is not, it's like me, and they're not really up to speed on the language that they use, do not be embarrassed, and do not be ashamed to say, I don't get this, babe. I really don't understand this, and I have no idea what we're signing here. Don't be embarrassed. There's no shame in it. Understanding the lingo may not be for everybody. So don't be embarrassed to say, I don't understand the lingo.
Good. Great advice.
How about yourself, Brian? What do you got? You got any language?
Lingo? Mental health and finances, and they're deeply connected. Financial anxiety is one of the biggest contributors to stress, depression, burnout, especially in men. I don't know about you, Jay, but money was something that was never talked about when I was growing up. We lived on a dairy farm, and we worked hard, but there was always food. We were clothed. We didn't talk about debt. We didn't talk about investing. We didn't talk about savings. And that's silence. It catches up with you. And I'm so glad that times are changing. Here in Ontario, financial literacy is now part of the school curriculum as of 2020. Students are learning about budgeting, about saving, about decision-making, even investing basics. And this is huge because financial literacy reduces stress and empowers better life decisions. But for our generation, we missed the boat. We had to learn the hard way. And let's talk about stress and spending. Oh my gosh. When I'm emotionally drained, I fall in the trap of therapy, retail spending.
Oh, yeah.
And after a tough therapy session, it's not uncommon for me to come home with a new shirt, or new underwear, or a new pair of colorful socks, or a Palm Springs bathing suit. And my wife just shakes her head. But let's be honest, emotional spending doesn't equal emotional healing. And one of the biggest mindset shifts for me is understanding money is the first step of controlling my life emotionally and financially. And that mindset came into play with a big goal of finishing our basement. It took us 6 friggin' years to finish the basement. And why? Because we decided to do it all cash only. So drywall, paid cash. Pot lights, paid cash. Waited until we had funds to paint, to do the floor, to buy the furniture, a fieldstone fireplace, a fieldstone bar. It all happened step by step. Now, the old me would have said, forget that. Let's just put it on the credit card. Let's get the line of credit. But by doing it this way, It brought a peace of mind, no interest, no guilt, just progress at our own pace. But it took 6 years to get the basement finished. But it's done, but we paid for all cash over those 6 years.
That's impressive.
And so here's the truth. Silence hurts. We avoid hard conversations, and then we pay the price. And, we say to ourselves, oh, we deserve that vacation. But can we afford that vacation?
Right, yeah.
And we've learned to save in a travel fund so we can enjoy the trip. And there's no stress when the suitcases are put away. Credit card debt, yeah, we've had some.
Yeah.
We're still paying off a loan, but we've consolidated before. It's real and it's tough. But the real turning point is when you stop tying your self-worth with your net worth. Self-worth with net worth. My identity, Jay, is not based on my bank account. It's based on purpose. It's based on priorities. We're a one-car family right now, my wife and I. And that was a mental health choice as much as a financial one.
Right.
Sure, it takes planning, but we're saving on payments. We're saving on gas. We're saving on insurance. We're saving on repairs. So there's an extra breathing room. And now we can use that extra money to do things that we love. Going to a Blue Jays game, going to Mervish Theater with tickets, with friends. And there's nights out. We don't have a boat. We don't have a trailer. We don't have a cottage. We don't have a truck. Do I miss the truck I used to have? Oh my God, absolutely. But then I realized that I was using my truck more just to get groceries and to run errands. And it didn't make sense.
Right.
And I don't lose sleep anymore wondering if my debit card is going to be declined at the gas pump. I used to. The anxiety was real. So if you're there right now and you're losing sleep over money, start small. Talk to a financial planner. We see one regularly, and he's a godsend. Oh my gosh, he's fabulous. Read one of the books that we've mentioned in this episode, and they're listed in our show notes. Track your spending. Separate needs from wants. That was a huge thing for my wife and I. What do we need versus what do we want? And get help if you need it. And basically, think about clarity. Not avoidance. It just brings a whole peace of mind when you're intentional about what you're doing with your money.
Love it. Okay, Brian, moving on to our relationship segment.
Well, for me, we're breaking the silence. Growing up, money wasn't something we talked about. Not out of secrecy, it just never came up. But my wife and I have decided to break that silence with our kids. And we made money a normal topic. We talked about bills. We talked about mortgages. We even said out loud, we can't afford that right now. Or we'll save for that. And it wasn't intended to burden them. It was just intended to involve them. Even if my wife and I were having a discussion, they were eavesdropping on the conversation from another room. They were hearing us talk about money. And we introduced an allowance with a purpose with our kids. Every week, our girls got $5 as an allowance in various bill sizes and coins. And they were asked to put some of that money into each of their own 3 jars.
Okay.
And there was a spend jar that was for fun stuff, spontaneous stuff. They had a save jar, and that was for a bigger goal, like a new bike, a guitar, or a specific toy. And the 3rd jar was a giveaway jar. And that was for birthday money for other people, for charities, for giving money to charities, or for even someone who's homeless or in need downtown. And it taught them, Jay, really early that money just isn't for spending. It's for planning and for saving. And today I'm so proud of our daughters. Both daughters are smart with money. They thrift, they watch their money, and they've even started some small entrepreneurial hobbies to earn some extra cash. So I'm really pleased how that's coming along. And when it comes to money in marriage, my wife has always managed the bills. Now, that was originally out of practicality because she was a shift worker and she had some days off during the week when the banks were opened, and she could hit that bank while I worked. And that habit has continued. And back then, you won't believe this, but I was paid 10 times a year, once a month. And the June's pay was 16% of our income. And yes, some months there was more month left than there was money. But we had to make do. But through it all, we made financial decisions together. And over time, I came to really appreciate her financial savvy. And once she surprised me with a trip to BC and a surprise trip to Prince Edward Island for milestone birthdays for me. And I didn't even know how she pulled it off, because I don't even know what our bank account looked like. She just paid for it all in advance, and I didn't even realize this. So I wanted to surprise her. But I know she follows the bank accounts really closely, and I wanted to surprise her to a trip to Mexico for her milestone birthday. So this is what I did. I secretly asked our daughters to book and pay for things, and I would pay them back $20 at a time. And where did I get that money from? Through cash back at Walmart.
Okay.
Every trip I went shopping, and over the 6 months, I pulled out some extra money, and I would pay back
cash
for this.
Back at a time?
That's what I did.
Okay.
And it was intentional discipline, and it worked. Clarity, collaboration, and check-ins—they're key for us. And I've learned that clarity, financial and emotional, it makes everything so much stronger. And we try to do financial check-ins, just like Eric Tyson recommended in his book, Personal Finances for Dummies. He says that shared decision making matters. No matter who earns more, we live by it. Now, I'll let you know, Jay, that we have 3 locations that hold all our money. We use one bank for daily life stuff, bills, our pension, our debit deductions, and that used to hold our mortgage payments too. We use another bank for our savings, our GICs, our US account, and even any side hobby incomes are put into that bank savings. And finally, we use a trustworthy investment company that holds our RIFs, our RRIFs, which is our registered retirement income fund, our TFSAs, which is our tax savings account. I know this is all lingo that you talked about in the previous segment, but it's joint investment account, which is non-registered accounts that are shared between my wife and myself. And then it used to hold our kids' RESPs, our registered education savings plans, which we started before they could walk. And it really helped get through most of their post-secondary education. And we meet with that financial advisor twice a year, and he's brilliant. He is our lifesaver, a trusted voice who, when we meet with them, we know he's going to do a checkup from the head up. And yes, we've got a will, we've got wills, we've got a power of attorneys, everything's in place. Now, we don't have multiple properties. Real estate is not our thing. But if that's your thing and you're listening to this, get some advice. Talk to someone who knows their stuff. Just like you would do with any major life decision. And here's something I want to leave you with, Jay. Your relationship with money is passed down to your kids, whether you talk about it or you don't talk about it. And that's why we're intentional. Our kids see it all. How we save, how we solve problems, how we handle stress, how we bounce back from mistakes. And beyond that, your relationship is with yourself too that matters. Your confidence, your ability to budget, plan, give. It's all part of the bigger picture. Healthy money management builds strong relationships with others and with yourself. So key. Okay, Jay. Relationships and finance.
A lot of what you just said really resonated with me, and I can see a lot of that stuff in myself as well, and in my household as well. And the overspending, the trips, the vacation, that kind of stuff, and then figuring it out later. And that, oh my God, I can see that. Wow. There's a lot of stuff that just resonated with me from what you said. And I can't speak for any other household or any other relationship except for my own, but I can certainly say that my life would look completely different financially if it wasn't for my wife.
Really?
I can say that without embarrassment or without any ego or anything. I can put that aside and say it would not look like it would. It wouldn't look the way it does if it wasn't for my wife. Like, hats off to my wife. all the respect in the world to her. She has and does a major part of our household finances. She has taken care of everything. And I don't say everything as far as like she does it all, and I have no idea what's going on over here. But she has taken the reins, like you say, like your wife does the majority of the household finances. Mine too. For years, I was intimidated by money, and intimidated by it because I was the fear of messing up.
Yeah.
With money,
right,
outweighed any sort of confidence or trust I had in myself to take care of finances, to take care of paying a bill, to take care of keeping the lights on. The intimidation of messing that up was so high. There was so much anxiety of that. And when I was younger, much like yourself, I didn't get the budget conversation. I didn't get the financial advice. We didn't get the sit down. Hey, look, let's learn how to budget. Hey, look, we didn't do that in school, and we didn't do that at home. A lot of the financial decisions I made as a young man, I had to learn the hard way. And a lot of that was overspending and not paying back debt. Like I had to learn the hard way when I was a young man, trying to figure out how to pay bills on my own and or didn't pay bills. And then, you're like, oh shit, I still owe on that. So I had to learn the hard way a lot of the times. And budgeting your expenses is an essential part of life that a lot of the times we don't get taught. That we get taught calculus, we get taught a lot of stuff in school that you'll never use outside of school, but you never get taught budgeting for a household, budgeting to keep food in the fridge, budgeting to keep the lights on, all that kind of stuff. All the necessary knowables. I didn't get taught that. Or if we did, I didn't retain any of it. And that's an essential part of life. It seems like it's getting harder and harder and harder for people to keep the lights on, to keep food in the fridge. Just in our current economy, our current climate, it just seems like everybody's having a harder and harder time to do those things to make ends meet.
Right.
And purchasing a home nowadays seems almost impossible for people. I know this. I have young adults in my household that are still in my household, and it seems impossible. You can have a bunch of money saved up and still not be able to afford to buy a house. Not because you don't want to, not because you're not trying, but it's almost damn near impossible to purchase a home nowadays. It really is. And the younger generation, unfortunately, that's their reality right now. That's what they're living in right now. And I got to tell you, that's a mountain I don't know if I could have climbed.
Right.
As a young man, I don't like to be hit with a dead end. And you're like, financially, I got a bunch of money saved up, and I can't. You're telling me I can't do anything with it. I can't find a place to live.
And hopefully, we'll notice a big difference.
I hope so.
With this next generation, with now the financial literacy is part of the curriculum.
That's good.
And because that's huge. It wasn't before, but 2020 it started. In 2021, grade 9 was revamped to include financial literacy.
Oh, that's good.
That's
good to know.
That's huge.
That's good to know. Yeah, like I'm being honest. Like I don't know if I could have wrapped my head around that. Their current situation as a youngster. I don't know if I could. There's a great clip on the internet from the Cosby Show where the dad teaches the son about finances, and he's doing it with Monopoly money, right? And he's going through and he's like, so how much do you think you're going to make, blah, blah, blah. And he gives Theo a bunch of money, and he's like, okay, so this is the money I'm going to pay you as the employer. And Theo's like, yes, sir. Got a whole fistful of money. And so he's like, so I'm going to need this much back from taxes. And you can see every time he takes a little chunk, Theo's face just kind of gets a little more defeated and a little more defeated. And I was like, oh, Theo, I can relate, buddy. And that clip is a really good example of how life really is and how life really plays out. You make X amount of dollars, it gets taken in taxes, it gets taken in food, and it gets taken in all these things, hydro, water, all that kind of stuff that I feel like was not explained well enough when I was a youngster. And so to know that now there's a curriculum that's being introduced that's taking care of that stuff, that's good to know for the younger generation. That's really good to know. And like I said, I am not the financial wizard in my household, and I'm not afraid to say it. So don't be embarrassed if you aren't either.
Last pillar is lifelong learning lessons. What do you got? Because there's lots here.
Oh my God, yeah. Honestly, this episode's topic, I was so hesitant. I was so reluctant to talk about finance, and this has come up a couple of times. Like I said, this topic has come up, and I was so fearful of it. I was so reluctant to dive into it. I'm not a financial wizard, and I'm not afraid to say it. I don't know a lot about finances. I still don't. I've done a ton of research over the last month on this, and I still don't. All the books you recommended, all the books that we've mentioned in this podcast, they were great. There was a lot of things I took away. There's a lot of things I'm going to try and put into action in my own home. But I was really hesitant at first, and I was like, I don't know, man. I don't know anything about finances. And maybe some of that was embarrassment. Maybe some of that came from fear. Maybe some of that came from fear of talking about not knowing. But I got to tell you, I'm glad we did this, because discovery of finances was a big thing for me. And I learned a lot through researching for this episode. And this topic, as fearful as it was I was really looking forward to recording this, because I learned a lot in doing the research of this. So I was really looking forward to meeting today and recording this. And I really felt out of my depth and uncomfortable when the idea of this topic came up. But I gave discovery and learning a chance. And like I said earlier in a segment, I had to step back and look at it because I was trying to figure out how to explain myself financially for our 5 pillars. And I was like, I can't. I couldn't. I had nothing.
But you took the first step of stepping back and looking at yourself.
Yes, and acknowledging that I'm not a financial wizard.
Yeah.
I'm not going to write a book about finances anytime soon. I'm just not. But I had to take a step back and say, okay, all right, let's come at this from a different perspective. Let's come at this from a different angle of discovery and learning. And that's when it all started clicking for me. And I was like, okay, all right, I think I'm not so intimidated now, right? Not so intimidated to have conversations about not knowing. Maybe that's just it right there.
Yeah.
So we're coming from 2 different perspectives, right? You are already retired. You've already been there and done that. You've already put the years in at work, and you're already retired. I am coming up to a point in my career where now retirement doesn't seem so far away.
Right.
And I understand it comes up quick.
Very quick.
It's one of the things you said. It's going to come up fast.
Yeah.
And it'll be here before you know it. And that has become so evident in doing the research for this. It's like 10 years. Yes, it seems far away, but it's going to come up so fast. And I'm in the last 10 of my career. And so I'm, what you call it, the back half, the back 9. I don't know what term you want to use for it leading into retirement, but I'm on that other side of it now, you know, and it's coming up a lot in conversation about retirement, and it's investing into your retirement that I'm now looking at. How do I do that? How do I give myself another leg up? And this episode allowed me to do that.
Sure.
It allowed me to look at my pension fund and where I could improve on things. And so I'm actually going to take that and try to put those into action. Moving forward. So I'm really glad we were able to do this episode, and I'm really glad that I was able to see it from a different perspective instead of being scared and intimidated by it, and scared and intimidated to talk about it. I'm now able to
embrace it.
Yeah, I'm able to embrace it now and say, okay, I didn't know this, but wow, I discovered this, and this about my pension fund that I'm able to contribute to, blah, 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 blah. Or to set ourselves up in conversations to say, okay, we have this amount of time left, babe. Where are we going to focus our life? How is it going to look in 10 years from now, right? Yeah, and I think if you let yourself dig deep enough, then you can admit these things, just like I have, that not everybody is a financial wizard,
right?
You know, and some aren't. I'm very good at the household stuff. I'm very good at knowing what needs to be fixed, and it's coming up to this time. The furnace is this old. The roof is this old. Like, I'm very good at knowing those things, and then having those conversations. So if I can know those things and say, oh, babe, the roof is X amount of years old. The furnace is X amount of years old. The AC is X amount of years old. The fence is blah, 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 blah. And there's no problem with that, and saying we need to start thinking about replacing this X, Y, and Z. then how come I'm not welcome at the table when it's time to talk about money? But I am.
Yeah.
I just don't know the lingo.
Right.
And so that's what I've understood about myself through this episode. And it's really been an eye opener for me. And
Good.
it really has.
And that's what we're hoping it would be.
Yeah, and
for a lot of guys who are listening too.
And it's really taken a lot of that fear and anxiety over money and taken it to a different perspective of learning and discovery instead of fear and intimidation.
Yeah. Oh, absolutely.
Okay, Brian, I think I've established enough for everybody to know that I don't have a lot of examples and I don't have a lot of advice to give financially other than it's okay to ask a million questions. So I'm going to ask another million questions. What do you got on your side?
Well, when it comes to lifelong learning lessons and finances, I've learned a lot. I've come to realize that financial success isn't about how much you make. Mm-hmm. It's about how you manage what you make. Mm-hmm. And over time, through trial and error, through mistakes, I've learned a lot. Mm. And I've gained a greater appreciation of how financial knowledge and discipline play an essential role in lifelong learning. Mm-hmm. And I've learned that I need to live within my means. It's one of the biggest lessons I've learned is the importance of spending less than I earn. Consistently. And it was really never too late to start or restart or pivot or whatever you want to do. It doesn't matter your age. Just focus on what you're spending and what money is coming in. Now, earlier in my career, I was in a profession where my income increased annually up to a salary cap that took 10 years to reach.
Okay.
And when I received a promotion, we made a conscious decision to keep living off my previous salary and put the raised money into a separate savings account. And that move allowed us to save enough to purchase a new vehicle. Mm-hmm. I purchased a new computer, over time, shingle a roof, and install a gas furnace.
Okay.
I've also learned that I need a spending plan. Budgeting to me is all about prioritizing what matters and making sure that our spending aligns with our goals. Right now, my wife and I deeply value travel. And we know that Jay, as we age, we may not have the freedom or the ability to travel as much. So we're being very intentional about planning for that now. Mm-hmm. We're currently making a pros and cons list about purchasing a new vehicle. Do we own it or do we lease it? And we're also weighing the pros and cons of taking our CPP out before age 65. But these discussions help us stay aligned and financially intentional. Mm-hmm. I've learned that I need to build a sustainable emergency fund. And this is an area that we have acknowledged a gap. While we do have savings, we have not put aside 3 to 6 months worth of living expenses. If something major happens, if our fridge dies, or if our freezer dies, or if our only vehicle dies, mm-hmm. we would have to scramble to relocate funds. And it's a not comfortable place to be, but it's something that we acknowledge we need to improve upon.
Right.
I've also learned the hard way that there's bad debt. One tough but necessary lesson: not all debt is created equal. We learned the hard way to avoid high interest debt, especially with credit cards. It's easy to fall into the trap, but getting out takes careful planning and discipline. Now, we aim to use credit wisely and stay away from those revolving high interest balance. Something else we've learned, Jay, that it's never too early to start investing. Mm-hmm. and consistently. Looking back, I'm so glad we started investing in the late 80s, even if we had no idea what we were doing. Mm-hmm. We leaned on a financial planner who guided us towards mutual funds for broad and diversified market exposure. And over the years, even as the markets fluctuated, we continued to see some cash and stock dividends, proving the power of compound interest and long-term savings. Now, we do not track stock markets daily. That's way too nerve-wracking,
I would say,
for us. Now, and I've also learned to insure against major risks. Now, insurance used to be a taboo word in our household, especially for my wife. But we've seen it now. It's a non-negotiable part of good financial planning. Whether it's health, auto, disability, or life insurance, these safeguards help us to sleep better at night, mm-hmm. Knowing that we're protected for the unexpected. And I think most important, we've learned to keep learning about money, just that, as you said.
Yeah.
I've embraced the fact that financial literacy is a long life process. In preparing for today's podcast, we've read and we've listened to resources like The Wealthy Barber, Rich Dad, Poor Dad, Think and Grow Rich, Personal Finance for Dummies. I still have so much more to learn about fees and terms and risks and how financial decisions shape our future. But I remind myself the best time to start learning was yesterday.
I like that.
The second best time is today, right now. And finally, finances aren't static. They evolve with us. And just like any area of personal growth, the journey of financial learning requires patience, it requires reflection, and it requires a willingness to change. And I am grateful for the lessons I've learned so far. And I'm committed to continually learning on this lifelong journey when it comes to financial literacy.
It's one of the things that I read on the internet for overspending and not budgeting well. It's called SNAP. If you're mismanaging your money, it's SNAP. So snap out of it. Stop now and plan is the abbreviation. So stop now and plan. Snap out of it.
All right, guys. That's it.
That's a wrap.
Snap.
And that wraps up today's episode of Coffee and Conversations for Men. Thanks for spending time with us. We truly appreciate it.
Be sure to check out the show notes for resources, links, and everything we covered today. And don't forget to subscribe so you never miss an episode.
And if you've enjoyed this conversation, share it with a friend or leave us a review. We'd love to hear your thoughts. You can also follow us on Instagram at Coffee and Conversations for Men. That's 4, as in the number 4.
Got a topic you'd like us to explore? Reach out and let us know. Just a quick reminder, we're not therapists, counselors, or licensed professionals, just two longtime friends sharing real stories and lessons from our own lives.
So if you're facing challenges with your health, mental well-being, or relationships, we encourage you to seek guidance from qualified professionals.
We hope our conversation sparked reflection, encouraged growth, and helped you feel more connected.
Until next time, this is Jay and Brian reminding you to grab your coffee
or your favorite drink
and keep the conversation going. So stay strong,
stay curious,
and stay connected.